Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION The World. One, I'm Shivanjan. Now, this is Speed News. Let's begin. Thailand and Cambodia are set to hold negotiations aimed at ending the ongoing conflict. The high-level meeting will be hosted in Malaysia today in a bid to end the deadliest confrontation between the two nations in over 10 years. The United States has confirmed that its officials are already on the ground in Malaysia to support the peace initiative. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that President Donald Trump and he have been in contact with their counterparts in both countries and are closely monitoring the situation. Pakistan's restive Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province remains the epicenter of violence and protests. In the latest incident of civilians being targeted, the Pakistan army reportedly opened fire on peaceful protesters in the Tira valley of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, killing at least 7 Pashtuns and injuring over 20 others. The protesters were demonstrating over the killing of a minor girl outside a military installation in the Mohammad Ghoz area. The girl was allegedly killed in counter-terrorism operations in the province. Condemning the death of civilians, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif ordered a probe in the incident. Israel has announced a halt in military operations for 10 hours a day in parts of Gaza and new aid corridors. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu denied widespread reports of starvation in Gaza on Sunday and blamed Hamas for stealing aid. Israel has been facing growing international criticism, which the government rejects, over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Indirect ceasefire talks in Doha between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas has broken off with no deal in sight. Jordan and the United Arab Emirates parachuted 25 tons of aid into the Gaza Strip on Sunday in their first airdrop in months. A Jordanian official said the airdrops were not a substitute for delivery by land. The Israeli army issued a statement that said Israel will continue to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian aid into Gaza despite ongoing fighting, adding that Hamas has launched a false and deceptive campaign claiming there is starvation in Gaza. China said it resolutely opposed Czech President Peter Pavel's meeting in India with Tibetan spiritual leader the Dalai Lama. China also called on the Czech side to abide by its One China political commitment and maintain healthy and stable relations. China's embassy in the Czech Republic posted the notice late on Sunday and said that China firmly opposes any form of contact between officials of any country and the Dalai Lama. On the eve of Peru's Independence Day, families of protesters killed and injured in clashes in 2023 gathered in Lima to conduct a ceremony in their honor. In the southern Puno region, 18 civilians were killed in clashes with security forces on January 9, 2023 during nationwide protests that killed dozens and left hundreds injured. Three people were killed and others seriously injured when a passenger train derailed in southwestern Germany on Sunday. Roughly 100 people were on board the train when at least 2 carriages derailed in a forested area that borders France and Switzerland. Federal and local police said the cause of the crash near Riedlingen, roughly 158 kilometers west of Munich, remains under investigation. Islamic State-backed rebels killed 38 people on Sunday in an attack on a church in eastern Congo. The assault in Komanda, a city in the northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, is believed to have been carried out by ADF rebels wielding guns and machetes. An official in the city administration said that worshippers were taking part in a night mass when the rebels stormed the church in the early hours of Sunday morning. Venezuelans cast their ballots in polling stations in the capital Caracas for the municipal elections on Sunday. The ruling Chavismo has its sights set on all the mayoral offices in an election without much opposition, which also coincides with the anniversary of the controversial re-election of President Nicolas Maduro. The Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was accompanied by the First Lady and other political figures as he participated in both the municipal elections and the youth popular consultation. The president highlighted that the country continued to hold elections despite the blockade, sanctions, siege, and threats from imperialism. Yemen's Houthis said they would target any ships belonging to companies that do business with Israeli ports regardless of their nationalities. The warning by Houthis came as part of what they called the fourth phase of their military operations against Israel. Since Israel's war in Gaza began in October in 2023, the Iran-aligned Houthis have been attacking ships they deem as bound or linked to Israel in what they say are acts of solidarity with Palestinians. In May, the US announced a surprise deal with the Houthis where it agreed to stop a bombing campaign against them in return for an end to shipping attacks, though the Houthis said the deal did not include sparing Israel. North Korea rejected all efforts by current South Korean President Lee Jae-myung to improve inter-Korean relations. The influential sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un rebuffed overtures by South Korea's new liberal government. She said that North Korea has no interest in talks with South Korea, no matter what proposal its rival offers. Kim Yo-jong's comments suggest again that North Korea has no intentions of returning to diplomacy with South Korea and the US anytime soon. Russia has opened a regular air link between Moscow and Pyongyang, a move that reflects increasingly close ties between the two countries. The first flight operated by Russian carrier Nordwind took off from Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport, carrying over 400 passengers. Russia's transport ministry said that there will be one flight a month to meet the current demand. Syria will hold parliamentary elections in September as per the state media. Mohammad Taha Al-Ahmad, chairman of the Higher Committee of People's Assembly elections, told state news agency Sana that elections will take place between September 15th and 20th. They will be the first to take place under the country's new authorities after the fall of former President Bashar Assad in a lightning rebel offensive that was seen in Syria in December of last year. One third of the 210 seats will be appointed by the interim president Ahmad al-Shara, with the rest to be indirectly elected. In the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, 2 devotees were electrocuted and several others injured outside the historic Mahadev temple in Barabanki district in the wee hours. Reportedly, the deceased came in contact with an iron pipe and tin shed that had reportedly developed an electric current. The structure was installed for the safety and convenience of devotees amid the ongoing monsoon season. Eyewitnesses claimed that the accident occurred when both victims tried to take shelter under the tin shed during rainfall. Reports suggest that faulty wiring or leakage may have caused the structure to become live with electricity. At least 8 people, including a 12-year-old boy, were killed and 30 others were injured in a stampede on a narrow stairway leading to a temple in Haridwar on Sunday morning. According to officials, the incident took place at around 9 a.m. after a rumor spread that a high-voltage live wire had fallen on the passage leading to the Mansa Devi temple. The tragedy unfolded during the auspicious month of Sawan, which witnesses a rush of devotees at all pilgrimage points in the city. Heavy rain intensified around Beijing and nearby provinces in northern China that have exacerbated the risks of disasters, including landslides and flooding. More than 4,000 people have been relocated as colossal rain continues to pound the northwestern suburban area in Beijing. Xinwanzi village in Xisheng is severely affected, with an additional 100 villagers transferred to a primary school for shelter. In southeastern Turkey, temperatures have constantly reached 40 degrees Celsius during the day in the past week. On Saturday, Turkey's Environment Ministry said that meteorologists had registered a reading of 50.5 degrees Celsius in the southeast of the country, which is a nationwide record. And this comes as firefighters battled wildfires across Turkey on Sunday amid a searing Mediterranean heatwave. Authorities evacuated more than 3,600 people from settlements in the country's 2 provinces. Strong winds and high temperatures fueled wildfires in southern Albania, spreading rapidly in the Delvina municipality. The authorities described the situation as serious, further noting that members of the armed forces, firefighters from the Civil Emergency Support Base and a Black Hawk helicopter had been deployed to combat the flames. The maximum temperature in New Delhi could reach 33 to 35 degrees Celsius, and the minimum temperature may settle at 26 to 28 degrees Celsius. This is according to the weather department. The national capital is expected to witness a generally cloudy sky along with light to moderate rain, which could be accompanied by thunderstorms and lightning. Along with Delhi, areas in the national capital region, including Noida, Ghaziabad, Faridabad and Gurugram, are also likely to witness light to moderate rainfall accompanied by lightning and thunderstorms. Wall Street futures point to a green open after ending last week on a positive note. Stocks hit fresh all-time highs in the run-up to the busiest week for corporate results. The S&P 500 rose for a 5th straight day on Friday, approaching 6,400 points. More than 80% of the index companies have exceeded profit estimates. The earnings are on track for the highest share of beats since 2021. Stock volatility, as measured by the index, fell to its lowest since February. Wall Street experts are bracing themselves for a key week. It's shaping up to be a moment of truth for markets in a hectic week of earnings and economic data. The Federal Reserve's meeting and the release of earnings reports from big technology firms will likely set the tone for the remainder of the year in markets and the economy. The effects of tariff are just now becoming apparent even as economic data has been inconsistent. After a massive increase in imports caused a contraction in the March quarter, the government is projected to report a significant comeback in growth in the June quarter's GDP. Other reports due this week may point to some softening in the economy. India's stock market remains red hot, with deal activity crossing $6 billion for the third straight month. While that sounds like a positive sign, more isn't always better for stock market returns. A similar issuance wave in late 2024 dragged the MSCI India index down by almost 10% in the immediate 2 months as domestic stock markets show signs of strain. Some investors are looking towards gold for stability. The gold rush comes as the yellow metal has surged 27% on tariff worries and steady demand from central banks. A Bloomberg report quoting sources showed that Samsung Electronics agrees to manufacture semiconductors for Tesla in a new $16.5 billion deal. Samsung's shares rose as much as 3.5%, marking their biggest intraday gain in almost 4 weeks, with Samsung's share of the global foundry market falling to 7.7% from 8.1% in the previous quarter. The company has been losing ground in chip production, and that's in contrast to leading chip maker Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company TSMC, which still cannot meet all demand. TSMC holds a dominant share of 67.6% of the global foundry market. The United States and the European Union have reached a framework trade deal, avoiding what could have been a costly escalation. Under the deal, a 15% US import tariff will apply to most EU goods, including cars, semiconductors and pharmaceuticals. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called it a deal that brings stability and predictability, while President Trump declared it the biggest deal ever made.